This video is sponsored by Dashlane. So this is the iPhone 11 Pro. It's been 4 months, almost half of its life cycle. Have I been procrastinating? Who's to say? What's important here is that there's two major things that this phone has going for it. That is, actually, let me wait for the actual intro. I'm gonna do the intro animation. You thought I forgot about that, didn't you? Let's get it. So the first thing to take note of is the godly amount of battery life. And this thing has ridiculous battery life. It can't be killed in a day, and I've tried to kill it in a day. It can't be done. Most of the time, I'm getting about 2 days of battery life on it easily. It's a little bit better than my experience with the XR last year, which was already a ridiculously good experience, and this phone just takes it up another notch. Because, get it? Haha, we're still in 2018.
The Minecraft guy?
Yes, Jake, the Minecraft guy. Now I will say, to get that better battery life, we had to sacrifice the panel that basically allowed to sense force or pressure on the screen for 3D touch. Before, say if you're on the keyboard, you could force press anywhere on that keyboard, you can move the cursor around. Now, because there isn't that panel, it can't detect force or pressure, you have to put your finger on the space bar and then it realizes that you're trying to move the cursor around. Same thing with like app icons, it's not force sensitive, it's more so just a long press. Not nearly as satisfying, but you do get some of the same features, again, just not nearly as satisfying. Now I'm definitely in the minority here in the sense of using 3D Touch. A lot of people don't even use 3D Touch, know it exists, but I did use it quite a bit, and having that force-sensitive panel just added to that concept of layered design, which felt really nice and gave iOS just that really deep form of usability. Again, a lot of those features still stand, it just feels different for whatever that's worth. But bookending that, I do believe, however, that battery life is a thing that is worthwhile being sacrificed for. Hi, yeah, so quick ad break. This video is sponsored by Dashlane. I travel a lot for work, and Dashlane makes so many elements of traveling a breeze. I can store all my info like passport, login, and payment information securely all in my phone. And I can use their VPN for managing important information in unsecured networks, like airports. Their app is intuitive and super easy to use, and they offer so many services to keep your information safe. You can use the free version on one device for a lifetime, and when you're ready to expand, upgrading is cheap and easy. Click here or visit the link down in the description to get your free 30-day trial of the premium service. Also, just a nice FYI, no credit card is needed at checkout. So if you've heard about Dashlane, this is your chance, this is your moment. And you're doing good for the whole family, because not only are you experiencing full internet true security for yourself, but you're also gonna let them know that I sent you by using my link. Winkety wink wink wink. Anyways, thank you to Dashlane again for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now let's hop back into phones. Oh hey, welcome back.
You leaving the claps.
Now the next big upgrade, the camera system. As you can probably tell by, the fact that it's been 5 months, there's a new camera. There's a third camera on the back, and it's a wide angle camera. Now besides it being trendy, it's a new trendy look. It's also a really great camera to have. Specifically talking for video purposes, it allows you to see the world just a little bit closer to how the person sees it behind the camera. Having that added perspective, that dynamic perspective, really adds to the whole entire experience. But the buck doesn't stop there. They've also vastly improved the main shooter and the telephoto shooter to a point that's actually super noticeable over the XS. Feels like every year they're trying to experiment with a new feature, a new thing to think about with camera technology. And last year felt very heavy on HDR. And at the beginning of the year, I felt like a lot of people were talking about, I actually have a video with Tyler Stallman about it, about how HDR, it was just looking really fake and flat and kind of gross. Now, throughout the year of the XS, it did tend to get better, but it still had that undeniable look that I wasn't a huge fan of. And then they released this phone and that seemingly has disappeared. The look is absolutely more lifelike, and HDR is definitely more rounded and a much better overall experience. But between Deep Fusion, HDR assessment, and just overall colors, the camera quality this year is vastly superior to years before. Also, night mode. Night mode is dope. It's a very different night mode from, like, say, the Google Pixel night mode or the Huawei night mode. It's a very different look. Every single company has their own different view as to what night mode should look like and prioritize, and Apple's is just a more even, rounded out kind of experience. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. But just looking at this photo, it tends to bring everything up to look more like dusk. Whereas say with like a Google Pixel night mode photo, you can tell that it's night, you can tell that it's dark, but it's a cleaner, brighter image. Whereas with iPhone night mode, it just tends to look earlier in the day. I hope that makes sense. But simple fact is, I kind of prefer night mode on the iPhone end just because it's a bit more editable than, say, night mode on the Pixel or other manufacturers, just because you can bring down shadows, you can bring up highlights, you can play with it more because it's a more even photo, it's a more flat photo. Like, you can see clouds, you can see things that the human eye can't even really see in full detail with night mode on this phone. It's absolutely insane. It's witchcraft, it's wizardry, it's Hogwarts. I will mention, however, this is only available on the main shooter and the telephoto shooter, not available on the wide camera, which is kind of unfortunate because the wide camera, even as it stands in broad daylight, gets a lot of noise and a lot of grain, especially towards the edges of the frame. But besides that, talking about Deep Fusion again, really quickly, Deep Fusion is a feature that I find super cool. As I mentioned before, it's only available on the main shooter, and that's because it basically takes a photo from all three cameras at different exposures, compiles them, and makes a super high-res photo that's definition is insane. Now at the event, they like to use sweaters to sort of showcase just how much detail that it could retain in the actual photo quality. And I do understand that for demonstration purposes, but having this out in the wild for 4 or 5 months, the amount of times that I've used that feature and gotten results that I can't say I've ever gotten on a smartphone before, I'd be breathless. But closing in, these cameras definitely come out on top of really any smartphone I've used in the past in terms of not only selection of camera lenses, in terms of the wide, the telephoto, and the standard, but also the feature set behind each camera. It's really incredible, and I've used these cameras on this phone more than I think I've used cameras on any phone previously ever. But overall, can't recommend this guy enough. But you know the deal, it's an iPhone, it works really well, the ecosystem is pretty solid. Get yourself an Apple Card, get yourself an Apple Watch, you're locked in, no keys to get out. And with the addition of a better battery and a solid camera upgrade, it makes it all that more deserving of a place in your pocket. Hey, thank you for watching this video, and thank you to Dashlane for making this video possible, in addition to my patrons over on Patreon. We have a lot of really cool, exciting stuff going on over there. We've also made a lot of things that were previously locked and exclusive open for the public to see. That way, you know, again, we get that community effort, we get everybody interested and in there. And also, we have a cool BTS of how this intro for this video was made. We also sort of have an explanation as to how we went from one version of that intro to the current version of that intro. Very different things altogether. That was in the newsletter last month, so make sure to go check that out because it's pretty fun. There's some videos there too. Anyways, thank you all for watching yet again. I appreciate you so much. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.